progress.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Hope you're all well. This week's tutorial, we will be looking at your projects, and I'll be trying to provide some tutorial will be taken only in the ones that you have actually signed up for. It becomes a headache when students join from different sessions all over the place. It's hard for us to track. So if you attend the session and you're not part of the session, that's fine. You can stay for the session, you can participate in the class, but I also recommend that you join your actual session so that your attendance can be taken down. So this week we'll be looking at some of your projects. We'll work through it as a class using yours as an example, and I'll give some points as to where you might be able to improve. Now, it's very important right at the beginning to understand how our first initial assessments of your project. And the number one assessment that we make is based on your Turnitin result. So basically your similarity index. Similarity index tells us how much of your words or how much of your sentences and all that is directly lifted from other sources. Okay. So hopefully you can all see my screen. This is Sean's project, him and his group. They are doing a banana slicing machine, I believe. Okay. And just looking over it, I can tell that this one's done pretty well. They've taken a lot of time, taken a lot of consideration into what they're actually doing and making sure that they're following all the steps of the design process. And that's what you all want to make sure that you're doing, okay? You want to follow all the steps of the design process incrementally, okay? You don't want to jump back and forth between steps. But let's use this as an example of things that we might be able to change. I won't be able to discuss all of your projects in this session. Maybe just this one, and then I'll give some examples of other ones where things you want to stay away from. But if you can then map some of the tips that I talk about in this session and then apply it to your own, that'll be great. Apart from this session, we'll also be compiling a report for everybody's project draft, and we'll be giving a few tips as to how you can improve on an individual basis. And if you have questions after this, you can feel free to contact us, any one of us, markers or tutors. Okay. So project title, banana slicing machine, group number 34, project name, Lean Machines. This is all great, okay? Make sure when you guys include group members, you include the group members who actually contributed, okay? If no one in your group has contributed or someone hasn't contributed, exclude their name from the project. That's a directive from Dr. Kabir, and that's one that we will take very strictly. So it's all up to you guys to decide who is contributing and who isn't. Of course, there will be a review. It won't just be based on peer assessment. We'll also review it afterwards. But it's important that we get the feedback from you students. Is that clear? Okay, great. So design problem definition. Is this your problem statement? You can unmute your mic and speak to if you'd like, if typing is a bit of a hassle.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So we actually term this as a problem statement. Just to keep it uniform across everybody's projects. So restaurant or hotel workers prepared and served by workers/employees. Okay, if you're going to do slashes and either or, I recommend that you guys just select one. So food, dessert, you could just put food. You're trying to tell a story, and you're trying to keep the flow of information consistent throughout, okay? When you put slashes and things like that, it starts to break up your sentences, and your sentence structure starts to get a bit disjointed, and you can lose people as they read along. It won't create a nice flow of information. So that's just a recommendation, okay? Try and keep the flow going as if you're telling a story. Is served by workers or employees. So let's just put employees. Usually large quantities may take a lot of time to prepare. In addition, presentation of the slicing consistency is important in commercial food industry. Good, good. Able to consistently for hours, because okay. For that reason, banana slicer is designed to overcome this issue. Okay, cool. I really like how you guys have started very broad and then you've come in to a very specific area that you're trying to focus on. So obviously banana slicing is an issue that you've identified somewhere. You may want to just mention somewhere why you've selected banana slice. I know it's in the project title, but it's always good to try and include that somewhere into your story. So you may want to mention somewhere why you've specifically chosen banana slicing. Maybe because we're a tropical country, maybe because we have a large demand in hotels, you know, tourists coming, they love to have certain types of bananas, or I don't know what, but you might just want to include just a little bit on that. There are numerous banana slices, tool prep. Okay, it's required to cut 150 bananas per hour. Okay, so I know that, has this 150 figure been given in your topic, your problem, in your topic title? Was the number 150 bananas per hour given to you guys, or did you guys just come up with that number yourself?
Yes, sir, it's been given.
Okay. So I was, you may also want to go back and watch Dr. Kabir's video on the tutorial I took yesterday. He said in that session that just because it's given in the topic doesn't mean that you guys don't mention why it's 150 or why you have to do it for this, okay? You have to try and incorporate that into your problem statement. So that figure, 150, is very specific. You guys have to sort of give a background as to why it's 150. Who has decided that 150 is the minimum requirement? Is that clear? And this goes for everyone. Just because it's in your project title or your project topic doesn't mean that you take that as fact. Because us, the client or the viewer or the reader, we don't know why 150 is the required limit. You have to make us believe why 150 is the perfect requirement. And it goes for other projects too. Other projects have certain criteria built into the topic. Now you guys have to explain why that criteria is there. Therefore, the purpose of this thesis is to design, so it's not a thesis. The purpose of this project is to design a fabricated banana slicing machine that is able to lower human force by preparing food. Okay. This is a really good example of a problem statement, okay? Apart from just a few points, this is a really good problem statement. So guys, very well done. Also note the way that they formatted this, okay? They've justified their paragraphs. Most of you guys go for this format and, you know, a line to the left. And I mean, that's the one we've always been using for everything else. But for technical reports and for scientific reports, and especially engineering reports, we like to justify. Keep the flow of the flow of your sentences, everything uniform. So when you're formatting, please justify your paragraphs. What is the purpose or need? Okay, so all of this you have already addressed in your problem statement. So this information has already been discussed in your paragraph, in your problem statement. So there is no need for you to then list it below, okay? Now the design brief. Wherever you can, try and refrain from putting open-ended questions or open-ended statements. So what are you going to do? You might use this to help you actually come up with the sentences or the structure, but you don't include it in your final report, okay? So a design brief is just a statement as to what it is this project will actually cover. So to create a banana slicer that can slice at least 150 bananas per hour. Okay, that's a good design brief. Just straight to the point, a quick statement as to what it is, the end result of this project. You should satisfy your design brief. Materials must be constructed and available and cost less than $500. Okay, where is this $500 figure from? It hasn't been mentioned in your problem statement that there are financial restrictions or limitations. So where has this 500 figure come from? You may want to include, if you're going to do cost analysis, you may want to include a bit of financial background in your problem statement. Design brief is fine. Criteria and limitations. The following considerations were considered. Okay, that's repetition. So the following were considered during the design stages of the banana slicer. Low cost of production by using locally available banana and materials from a machine that was considered. Okay, so are these your design criteria? Low cost production by using locally available banana and materials for the machine was considered. You may want to check the grammatical structure of this sentence. It doesn't quite read correctly, if you get what I mean. Consistently producing uniformity of cut slices. Okay. Should be easily operated. Ease of maintenance past the machine should be easily accessed. Okay, this may need some work because a lot of them are statements, but they aren't decisive points that you've made. Like low cost of production by using locally available banana and materials for the machine was considered. What constitutes low cost and what constitutes locally available materials? Okay, they're still quite broad statements. You may want to try and refine that down a bit. So you could restructure this sentence as the design must be able to uniformly cut slices of bananas or cut bananas into equal sizes. You know, just rephrase it so that it's easier for us to understand. You know, putting in big words and everything, that's all well and good, but if it breaks up the actual understanding or the actual meaning of what you're trying to say, and it makes it a bit difficult to understand, it's not effective. So try and make everything that you write easy to understand. Sometimes simple is a lot better than complex, even though it sounds more technical and it sounds like you guys have, you know, done more work and you've put more thought into it. The actual thought comes into when you start to consider the client and the way that they read your information. So you have 5 criteria, I believe, but I don't see any limitations here. So you might want to build in some limitations. Background research. Okay. So you guys have done a very good job in referencing your works. And, you know, I appreciate that. Sorry, guys. I appreciate that you guys have put a good deal of amount of work into your referencing, because that is a big part of any research project or in design or any project for that matter, referencing all the works that you cite. So I hope these aren't word for word lifts. The Turnitin index will let us know, but I'll take your word for it that you guys have paraphrased and you've referenced a bit of information where you got it from. When you do referencing, make sure that you put the reference inside the sentence structure. Don't full stop, then reference, and then full stop. You include the reference inside that sentence so that we know what sentence it is that you're referencing. Is that clear? So we're using the IEEE method for referencing, and these guys have followed the IEEE format. So they've done a bit of background research, basically on the agriculture and bananas and all that, I believe. Okay, so they've given a bit of background information as to why this project is relevant. So that's always a good way to start off your background research. Why is this important? Why is this research important? You may also want to include in your background research a brief statement. This literature review will focus on, and then you can sort of summarize your subheadings. We'll focus on the use of bananas in Fiji, the processes that have to be undertaken when processing bananas. You know, so once you've done your introduction sort of to your background research, you then summarize it, just a 1 or 2 sentences before you actually jump into the bulk of your background research, just so that the reader knows what they're to expect for the next section of your report. Okay, so background on bananas, and then so are these processes that have to be undertaken, the washing and then the peeling? You've broken it down that way? Sean, is that the way that you've broken down your literature review into the processes that have to be undertaken when preparing bananas? Hello, am I clear now, or is it still glitching? Is it clear enough for everybody? A little glitchy. Okay. Well, hopefully this recording goes ahead without a hitch, and you guys can watch the session back. Maybe an issue with my internet. But guys, this is a very good example of how you do a literature review. Okay, they have a nice use of pictures. Pictures tell 1,000 words. So sometimes it's not necessary to put big paragraphs explaining something very simple. Sometimes an image is more effective. When you guys put in images, remember to reference or to caption them. So this would be figure 1. Figure 1, what is this? Banana peeling mechanism. Okay. So for every figure, make sure you put a caption. And if you've taken the image from a source, make sure you include the reference. Okay, so this may be 2. Okay, They've gone through, they've talked about all the different processes, how the apparatus is set up. A big thing I'd recommend you all do, and I will do it for the other projects when I get access to them. Just check your grammar, okay? Grammar is very important, and it's not something that we can overlook. It effectively makes sure that we can tell a story well. Just justify this paragraph. Are you guys all able to see what we're expecting from a background research? Okay, good. So these guys have gone really, really in depth, and I have to applaud you guys because you guys have done a very good job. Again, just put a figure number for this one. And then a caption. Okay, another figure number, but are these examples of things that already exist? Examples of designs that already exist? Sean?
Pardon, sir?
Is this an example of a design that already exists?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so these guys have really done a good job because they've broken down the whole process of what it is they're trying to achieve. So obviously banana slicing. So they've broken it down into all the different important sections or important components that the design must have. And then they've looked at what exists. Okay, so this is a very good example of a literature review, and I'm very impressed, guys. Thank you very much for paying attention to detail. And then they've listed all the materials. So are these bits of information taken from a source? Mild steel, stainless steel, cutting
Yes, sir.
cutting chip. Okay, so just make sure you reference all this information, okay? Make sure you include your references. Advantages of machine onto banana, okay. Okay. Right, advantages. Good, good. Now, this is not to say that everybody has to have the same subtopics or the same breakdown. It's, again, all about how you want to tell your story. And these guys have obviously approached this in a way that they're saying, okay, this already exists. This is what our design has to be able to achieve. And we will use this background information and what already exists to then help us design our project. Okay, so that's a very good way to approach design projects. Okay, guys, I will take a closer read of your information and make further points. But just by looking at it, I can say that you've done your background research very well, and I'd like others to try and take this as an example of how we're expecting, or the level that we're expecting you guys to be working at. References, all referenced according to IEEE standards, so very good. Might just want to check your formatting. Make sure that everything is in one line. Now your possible solutions. Okay, possible solution A. And this is fine for possible solution, eh? Just a short pictorial sketch, that's fine. I would like you guys to include some labeling. So what would you call this bit? What do you call this bit? What's this bit? Just so that we have a little bit more information. Make sure that all of your figures are on the same page. So if you have a title, make sure that the image is on the same page as your title. Okay, so if you could do the same labeling technique that you've done here for this one, that'd be great. And possible solution C. Again, just do some labeling, okay? The neatness and the use of tools is not compulsory. makes it easier for us to understand your design. But if you guys can freehand sketch very well, then freehand sketching is fine, okay? Working principles. This is very important because this gives us another degree of understanding of your designs. So is this the working principles for all of your designs? They all work under the same working principle, or what? Because it looks like this one here is motor driven. This one here is manual and manual. So is this working principle for all of them or just for the automatic or the automated one?
The automated one, sir.
Okay. This is fine. I would prefer it if you could do like a working principle for all of them. Even though these ones seem pretty self-explanatory, it's important that you also just give a little paragraph or two about how you expect these ones would work, your manual ones. Evaluation. This is a very important step, and I think there's been a lot of misunderstanding when it comes to evaluation. So let's use this as an example. This case study is being conducted to understand and research on the benefits, efficiency, and safety of having a banana slicing machine that is able to slice hundreds. Okay, so you've summarized your project. We are given 3 possible solutions. These possible solutions from the background research understood that banana slicing is sweet, delicious. Okay. Okay, the final solution is required to blah, blah, okay. Right, so all of this is a summary. It doesn't count as an evaluation. Okay, this is just basically you just summarized everything that you've done before and then put it as evaluation. So this technically is not how we are expecting you guys to evaluate. The way that we're expecting you guys to evaluate is to justify your score that you give them here. So these guys have done a weighted decision matrix. You just include a title, a table number and title for this one. But cost, manufacturability, safety, time management, ease of maintenance, ease of operation, precision, aesthetics, effectiveness, these should all be mentioned back in your design criteria. Okay? You guys you've introduced what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 criterion, but you've only mentioned 5 in your design criteria and limitations. Okay, so what we might ask is, why have you suddenly decided that mass is a criteria if you haven't mentioned it before? Why are you deciding aesthetics is a criteria if you haven't mentioned it before? You have to reference your design criteria. Is that clear? So if you're going to use these steps as these things as criteria, and which is fine, I mean, they're all very standard criteria to use, make sure that you include them in your design criteria step. Okay, guys, this session will stop in 2 minutes. Are you all part of the Viber group chat? Okay, I will start a new chat room and send the link to the Viber group, and you guys can join from there, okay? Set, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Please make sure that you attend the second half of this tutorial, just so we can finish off the feedback.